Upgrades to the South Coast sewage treatment plant coming as government enters its second debt for climate swap. People who lost heavy sums in the Ponzi scheme TKY urged to contact the Barbados Police Service and their legal representative to try to recoup their money. Our research expresses concern about the prevalence of diabetes among Barbadian women.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Good evening, I'm Pearson Bowen. A significant moment for Barbados tourism. That's how Minister of Tourism and International Transport Ian Gooding-Edgell describes the berthing of 4 ships at the Bridgetown port today. Trevor Thorpe reports.
The MSC Magnifica is one of the vessels docked to the Bridgetown port. Tourism Minister Ian Gooding-Edgell says Barbados is looking forward to home porting the ship, telling the captain and crew government remains steadfast in its commitment to elevating the crew's experience. He says several key infrastructure projects designed to enhance safety and convenience for both passengers and staff have been completed.
We resurfaced the area along berths 2 and 3, enabling smooth and safer transit of passengers and cargo handling equipment. Additionally, we created a dedicated locker area south of the home port terminal for the storage of personal protective equipment. This new space ensures easy access for port staff while minimizing disruptions, particularly during rainy periods. Following Hurricane Beryl, we fully restored all retail, recreational, and tour departure areas. Large screens now display real-time tour departure and boarding information, facilitating seamless passenger flow.
The minister says the home porting terminal at Shed 3 has undergone a complete makeover, resulting in improved passenger flows for the turnaround experience. He also says they have worked with the Coastal Zone Management Unit to provide docking space in Speightstown.
These moorings, specifically for small cruise vessels, offers passengers a scenic alternative for docking, allowing passengers to experience Barbados' northern coast. Vessels may tender passengers ashore at the Speightstown jetty after they have completed clearance at the Bridgetown port. Today, as we welcome the MSC Magnifica and earlier her sister vessel Explorer 2, and we had the opportunity to tour that ship as well and also welcome that for its inaugural call to Barbados. We look forward to showcasing the unique hospitality, culture, and beauty of our island to all those who come ashore.
Brilliant sunshine as 4 cruise ships docked in the Bridgetown port. They brought 8,000 passengers. 2 of those ships were on their maiden voyages. The tourism minister called it a magnificent day for Barbados, and there's more to come. From the Bridgetown port, Trevor Thorpe, CBC News.
Thank you, Trevor. Within the coming months, the island's South Coast sewage treatment plant will be upgraded from a primary to a tertiary one. The announcement from Minister in the Ministry of Finance, Ryan Strawn, who explains the improvements will ensure effluent no longer invades the marine space. He says the move comes as government enters its second debt for climate swap, a resolution for which will be laid in Parliament on Tuesday.
What we are now doing onshore gives the marine spatial planning work the best possible opportunity to actually succeed, because we'll be able now to reuse the water into the aquifers, able to improve our food security component in relation to agriculture in the country, and therefore again allowing us to be able to be innovative and to do things that matter for ordinary Barbadians.
Mr. Strawn was speaking at a media workshop titled Inclusive Narratives, Amplifying Voices in the Blue Space, hosted by the Barbados Marine Spatial Unit in collaboration with the Inter-American Development Bank. He says the changes will mean more opportunities for Barbadians.
Actions together really serve to provide the Coastal Zone Management Unit and those within the that space a boost of confidence for the work that they have already started, supported by the IDB. And therefore, it is important that as ordinary Barbadians, we understand that in these conversations, this is not just a financial transaction that took place on the New York Stock Exchange or the Luxembourg Exchange, as it did. This is actually going to help ordinary fishermen. This is going to help with investment into marine endeavors. And
Well, at that symposium, it was also revealed that Barbados has committed to protect 30% of its exclusive economic zone and territorial sea as part of the Marine Spatial Plan. US $50 million has been allocated to the Barbados Environmental Sustainability Fund. This was done through the completion of a US $150 million debt conversion in September 2022, which allows the plan to take effect. Rachel Agard reports.
Officials say science-driven data is crucial to building out Barbados's Marine Spatial Plan, and the unit will be engaging Barbadians in an effort to build out the marine environment. Already, they have completed 510 surveys, conducted a number of key stakeholder interviews, visited 10 schools, and engaged in 8 parish focus groups. But the MSPU's project manager, Alison Wiggins, says they want more information and have approximately 600 more interviews to conduct.
It's an inclusive process. Every single one of us will be part of this process. We need to hear everybody's voice in this. No matter what religion, no matter what race you are, no matter your abilities, we implore every Barbadian to be part of the process. And that is why we brought the media today, so that you can take this information to every single Barbadian.
Meanwhile, Director of the Coastal Zone Management Unit, Dr. Leo Brewster, says next year major research will be undertaken as part of the project.
We're also giving Barbadians the opportunity to express their concern for the marine space, and it must extend past where conflicts exist. Conflicts we have to address, yes, especially within the near shore, because we know those long-standing concerns that people have with clashes with water sports, clashes with divers, clashes with fishermen, clashes with potential hotel developments and beach access and this sort of thing, which is becoming more and more prominent, right? But you must also remember that through marine spatial planning, we're looking at a new approach to ocean governance.
The MSPU will once again engage the public during a listening session at Fisherman's Pub on Wednesday night. And the final session for the year will be held at Christchurch Parish Church Hall on November 27th. Rachel Agard, CBC News.
People who invested heavily and lost money in the Ponzi scheme TKY are being advised about how to recoup their money, and they're being told to quickly get over the associated personal disappointment and/or shame they were scammed and contact the Barbados Police Service and their legal representative for action to be taken in court against interested parties. The advice from Minister in the Ministry of Finance, Ryan Strawn. Now, while reports indicate management of the company is working assiduously to assist people in recouping the financial losses, there are those who say they benefited from handsome payouts.
It is regrettable that this process will take far longer to get resolved than it did for the scammers to take their money in the first place. I really want to take this opportunity to remind all Barbadians that in finance there are no quick returns to be had without some link to real economic activity. In short, if any of these scams were legitimate, I, along with the staff of the Ministry of Finance, would not have to work so hard to try to balance the government's budget. We would simply put some of the revenue in the pot and wait for the quick return like those trusted persons have attested. Unfortunately, the world simply does not work like that. And so it is important that people ask questions before they part with their hard-earned cash.
And Mr. Strawn says government has established a financial literacy bureau in order to sensitize and educate Barbadians on a range of financial options. Additionally, he says the Central Bank of Barbados and the Financial Services Commission have been active in efforts to educate the public.
In spite of numerous warnings and pleas, some Barbadians still find strong appeal with the idea of making quick money. This has been fueled by some Barbadians happily spreading the good news of their own financial success and experiences with the various schemes, with their friends, families, and co-workers, etc. Now, whether knowingly or not, the rapid spread of this financial success by the trusted person is the very bait to entice the other person to join the scheme, because they trust the word of that person who is familiar to them.
Prime Minister Mia Motley has defended the island's advocacy on the global stage, countering those who may question why a small country like Barbados. She says Barbados is not seeking attention, but is working to scale up the levels of development and opportunities and protect the most vulnerable. Ms. Motley states the world is at an inflection point, noting most of the current challenges faced are man-made. The Barbadian leader was in the Vatican City participating in a conference organized by the Pontifical Academy for Life entitled Common Good, Theory and Practice.
To be solved requires moral strategic leadership at a global level. In many ways, you may say that the voices that you hear are the same voices that you've heard all along, and that the public is not responding to those voices and they've gone in another direction. I've been in politics long enough to know that elections very often are not decided on principle, they're decided on many other things, including who's in front of me and who is courting me the most. And to that extent, therefore, I do not confuse doing good with the outcome of an election.
The National Cultural Foundation is gearing up for one of its major showcases of local culture. It is the National Independence Festival of Creative Arts Performing Arts Gala, which is scheduled for Sunday, the 17th. And joining us tonight to tell us more about that event is Festival and Events Planner with the NCF, Stacey Bryan. Ms. Bryan, good evening to you.
Good evening.
Thank you for coming. Tell me a little bit about what we can expect at this year's NIFCA Gala. On
Sunday at the Sir Garfield Sobers Gymnasium, we will have 20 highly awarded acts at the Performing Arts Gala. We have a cadre of our top and some of our first timers to the festival performing on Sunday. It is themed Reflections, and this year gives us a taste of what Barbadians love for years of the NIFCA Gala. We've gone back to our traditional format of the NIFCA Gala. Last year we celebrated our 50th anniversary with a very special gala, but this year you can see the work of the Cultural Development Department, the Training and Development, the ICH program, and you will get to see all of the school groups, the community groups, church groups, the performing arts that you know, the MDCs and Cuthbert Primary, the SIP tones. It is that type of gala. It reminds you of yourself for years past, and we're looking forward to seeing all of these wonderful performances on Sunday.
Well, it's really a culmination also of a whole season of cultural performances throughout the month.
Yes.
And tell us a little bit about some of the big acts that we can expect, one, and then I want you to also tell people tonight how they can be a part of it.
Some of the big acts, we have Foundation Steel Orchestra, we have the Haynesville Drummers, we have Dance in Africa, there's a beautiful presentation by Jack Kenneth Lewis. We have so much more of the St. Luke's Academy. There is, I mean, so many
yes.
So many groups and individuals who've graced the stage for many years in NIFCA, and they're returning for some spectacular performances on Sunday.
So how can we be a part?
You need to get your tickets from the NCF official box offices. These include the NCF, you can go to Saul Warrens, you can go to Rubis in Wildy, the iShop in Sheraton, and so many more across the island. Tickets are $40. The doors open for 5 o'clock and the show starts promptly at 6 p.m. The
Wildy Gymnasium is where it's going to be. What's the possibility for accommodating children, school children in particular?
Yes, there is a $20 price, for the accommodation of the school children coming to the gala, and we are, like I said, ready to go. So just make sure you're there early. Come down, make sure you're in line, get your tickets, get inside, and be ready for 6 p.m.
It will be spectacular.
It will be spectacular. Reflections on Sunday at the Wildy Gymnasium.
As always, it's the NIFCA Gala, which is going to be outstanding, and we want to encourage as many Barbadians as possible to be a part of it. Stacey Bryan, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Remember, that's on Sunday at 6 o'clock at the Wildy Gymnasium. We'll take a break here. Coming up, a project to mark the start of 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. Well, earlier today, students and partners of the University of the West Indies Cave Hill campus gathered at the campus for the Red Shoe Project. Each pair of shoes represents a woman or girl who has survived an attack and will be installed as part of an art exhibition at 9 locations across the island beginning the 25th of November. This is in recognition of the International Day for Elimination of Violence Against Women. Rachel Agard has that story.
As early as March this year, the Commissioner of Police announced a 20% increase in reports of domestic violence. This is according to head of the Institute for Gender and Development Studies at the University of the West Indies Cave Hill campus, Dr. Tonya Haynes.
Activists actually think that the 572 reports were actually an undercount of incidents of domestic violence, given that they themselves have received a 30% increase in calls to their hotlines. So we have not done enough to address domestic violence, gender-based violence. We have not put enough resources behind preventing gender-based violence and supporting survivors. A lot of the work of supporting survivors is actually done by women's organizations like the Business and Professional Women's Club, and they need to be resourced, they need to be supported to do this vital, life-giving work.
European Union Ambassador to Barbados, Malgorzata Vasilevska, says the statistics are not getting better globally and not for this region. And she hopes the exhibition will become a permanent fixture for all to see.
I don't know what else we need to do collectively, not just as diplomats, not as activists, not as gender institutes, but as every human being. We cannot walk past that. We cannot keep silence. We have a responsibility to comment and not ignore what goes on around, because it's simply unacceptable.
Meanwhile, Minister of People's Empowerment and Elder Affairs Kirk Humphrey says in many cases women believe they are exposed to violence and not taken seriously by the justice system.
We're only going to win this fight if we do it as a collective, if we do it together, and if we say we are very, very serious about this. There are things we have to do in the ministry. The PS and I were just reflecting on the fact that we have finished our gender policy. We have to take it back out to the public and allow the public to have comments on the gender policy and the issues that pertain particularly to women. We have to do significant education and public relations in relation to what it is and why it is that we have to be able to do this work. And as a government, we have to continue to promote this.
The activity culminates in Golden Square Freedom Park on December 7th. Rachel Agard, CBC News.
The government remains committed to introducing cutting-edge training programs for students to enhance their sense of business and risk-taking. That's according to Minister of State in the Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training, Sandra Husbands. She was speaking during the official opening of the floating library Logos Hope, which is docked at the Flour Mill on the Mighty Griner Highway. Ms. Husbands notes the intention is to help Barbadian youth obtain the necessary skills to operate in an accredited, accepted international standard.
Of cutting-edge training programs that allow them to acquire the skills that will empower them to work any part of the world in any field so that they can bring Barbados to the world. And so we've started programs in cybersecurity, in artificial intelligence. We've been doing a lot of work in relation to improving how our students do STEM subjects, etc. And one of the areas we want to move into is to help our students to develop innovations and take risks, etc. And this way we'll be able to bring Barbados to the world.
Well, as the Queen Elizabeth Hospital celebrates its 60th anniversary, Chief Executive Officer Neil Clark is calling on staff to provide perfect service to patients. Mr. Clark says as management seeks to streamline services and improve the physical plant, staff have a role to play to deliver high-quality service to patients that will take the healthcare facility to another level. He was addressing a cake-cutting ceremony.
The important thing about the hospital is the staff. And you'll see in our new strategy, 25-28, and there's a whole chapter in that strategy about workforce. And over the next few weeks and month, our Director of HR, through the Town Hall and on the radio station, will start to explore what does that mean. Because we can't move forward, we can have all the IT and all the equipment, but we can't move forward unless we've got you engaged, we've got you motivated, and we've got you aspiring to deliver the best services for our patients.
The prevalence of diabetes is greater in Barbadian women compared with males. The information was shared during the latest Oscar Jordan Diabetes Lecture on World Diabetes Day observed on Thursday. Associate Professor of Women, Gender and Sexuality Studies in the Department of Historical Studies at the University of Toronto, Dr. Nicole Charles, says the finding is unusual given that in most parts of the world, diabetes prevalence is similar in both sexes or higher in men.
Because at a given level of body mass index, men appear to be more susceptible to type 2 diabetes than women. While preliminary public health and medical research suggests this trend is reflective of a higher incidence of physical inactivity among Caribbean women, there has been little examination of how socially constructed norms associated with gender might affect this distribution across sex. There is a further dearth of research on Black women's experiences navigating care around type 2 diabetes amid a cultural and socio-political context of neoliberalism and neocolonialism, and against a backdrop of this island's history of sugar cultivation under slavery and connected colonial systems and legacies surrounding gender, race, class, and lifestyle.
The annual event, Carols by Candlelight, continues to grow each year, allowing the Rotary Club of Barbados to spread holiday cheer and extend a helping hand to various causes. Funds raised last year were used to launch a program to support young mothers and their children. President of the Rotary Club of Barbados, Arlene Ross, says through the initiative they will be instilled with life lessons and vocational training to improve their life chances.
That program was launched in October, on the 4th of October, and is ongoing. It's an 8-month program, and therefore it will end in May of next year. And all of that is flowing from Carols by Candlelight. All of that is the joy of Christmas continuing all through the year. And this year's Carols by Candlelight will again be the vehicle that will take the joy of Christmas throughout the year and into the community.
The 29th edition of Carols by Candlelight comes on Sunday, the 8th of December at Elaro Court, which is the official residence of the Prime Minister. Acts include Jan Kaiser, Natalie Burke, TC, Betty B, and Sheldon Hope. Time now for Sports Night, as we're joined this evening by Damien Best. Damien, good evening.
Yeah, good evening to you, Pearson. Good evening to our viewers and listeners. Well, England cruised to a series-deciding victory over West Indies last night, winning the third T20 in St. Lucia by 3 wickets. Chasing a below-par 146, England made 149 for 7, with 4 balls to spare to take an unassailable 3-0 lead in the 5-match series. Sam Curran top scored with 41, while Akil Hussain took 4 for 22. Well, as we reported yesterday, sent into bat, the Windies were on the back foot at 37 for 5 in 5.4 overs before limping to 145 for 8 in their 20 overs. Captain Ralph Munpowell led the way with 54. Now, the 4th T20 is set for tomorrow at the same venue. That is the first half in sports. Pearson, I'll be back a bit later on.
All right, Damien, we wait for you, but time next for the business report. In business, the start of the winter tourist season is still days away, but as we told you earlier, 4 cruise ships came a-calling at the Bridgetown port today. It was the first one for the MSC Explorer 2 under the captaincy of Serena Malani. Minister of Tourism and International Transport Ian Gooding-Edgell welcomed that ship and also exchanged commemorative plaques with the captain. Captain Malani says Barbados is the first stop after an Atlantic crossing and spoke about the voyage to Barbados.
Thank you for a nice welcoming. It's our first transatlantic crossing from Europe here, so it's the first port that we call after transatlantic crossing for this ship that has been built in. She is the sister ship of Explorer 1. For Explorer 1, the construction was happening in Monfalcone, close to Trieste, Italy. I was following the construction Explorer 1 for 1 year, and then I was the launching captain for Explorer 1. For Explorer 2, I followed the last 2 months of construction, and then the launching and the starting operation, and all the way until here. So many other calls here in Barbados, and nice to be back.
Well, Barbadians are being encouraged to invest in long-term assets to help secure their financial future. That advice is coming from Chief Investment Officer at Fortress Fund, Peter Arender, who says when people invest in long-term assets, their money has a greater chance of growing and helping them to outrun the effects of inflation. Mr. Arender was speaking during the Fortress Launch and Learn virtual session.
Long-term money we'd usually define as money you don't think you're going to need, even though you could get it back, but you don't think you're going to need for 5 years or more. And in a project like retirement, that's a super long-term project that's way longer than 5 years. Really think of, the easiest cut is to think of short-term emergency money, keep that in the bank, and long-term money to invest in long-term assets like stocks, bonds, and mutual funds being a way to easily access those. And the question would be, well, why would I put my money at risk in long-term assets at all? And the short answer is inflation. If you don't invest in long-term assets, you tend, based on history, to have almost no chance of keeping up with inflation.
Mr. Arender says while some people see investment as a risk, it is a risk worth taking.
It's important to remember that if you don't invest and inflation keeps eating away at your money, then that itself is a permanent impairment of capital and is to be avoided. And you contrast that with what people sometimes might think of as risk, which is the bouncing around in price of long-term assets like stocks, and certainly not to minimize the discomfort some people can feel from that. But if you're stacking up which risks you want to take long-term, our view is everywhere and always, the bouncing around in price of otherwise good assets at good prices should concern us a lot less than the possibility of way underperforming inflation or running out of money, or as they call it in the pension business, shortfall risk over the many decades of saving for retirement. So, there is nothing in life that doesn't have a risk.
Time now for tonight's trading report.
In Jamaica, Victon Energy Limited with 6,861,244 units was the volume leader, followed by Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited and Kingston Wharves Limited. In Trinidad and Tobago, NCB Financial Group Limited was the volume leader with 171,569 shares changing hands for a value of Trinidad and Tobago $368,873.35, followed by JMMB Group Limited. And here in Barbados, no securities traded today on the regular market.
Well, that's tonight's business report. We'll take a look at the weather after this break. It's the weekend. We want to know what to expect weather-wise. We're joined by Carrie-Ann O'Neill. Carrie-Ann, good evening.
Good evening to you, Pearson, and good evening, everyone. Well, the ridge pattern was our dominant feature today. We had mainly dry and stable conditions, just a few showers offshore. Meanwhile, the winds across the region, they are light. They're peaking at 12 knots here in Barbados, and isolated showers prevailed across the Guianas. The maximum temperature today was 31 degrees Celsius, the minimum 24 degrees. At present, the temperature stands at 28 degrees Celsius. The relative humidity, 79%. The winds, they're coming in from the east, southeast. We take a look now at some atmospheric conditions across the region, where the temperatures are ranging from 25 to 29 degrees Celsius. Now, the humidity shows moisture is building over there in St. Lucia as well as Trinidad, and the winds, they are generally light across the region. We take a look now at our satellite feed, where the ridge pattern dominated across most of the islands. We had mainly dry and stable conditions here in Barbados. Just a few showers offshore, that's offshore St. James. Meanwhile, the winds here in Barbados, they're peaking at 12 knots. Those seas moderate in open water with swells peaking at 2.5 meters. We are urging small craft operators as well as sea bathers to exercise caution. Later on tonight, we can expect a mix of clear and cloudy skies along with just a few light showers. Further south, isolated showers prevailed across the Guianas, and over in the Western Caribbean there is a shear line maintaining wet conditions over there in Puerto Rico. Meanwhile, feeder bands from Tropical Storm Sarah generated showers over in Jamaica. That's our first look at the weather. After the break, we'll have the forecast. Welcome back. In the forecast for tomorrow, the sun is expected to rise at 5:57 and will set at 5:29. Now, those seas are moderate in open water with swells peaking at 2.5 meters. We are urging small craft operators as well as sea bathers to exercise caution. The winds coming in from the southeast to the east-southeast, and they're peaking at 30 kilometers per hour. For us here in Barbados tonight, the ridge pattern will dominate. We are expecting a mix of clear and cloudy skies along with just a few light showers. And over the next 3 days, occasionally cloudy skies along with showers can be expected.
With the second half in sports is Damien Vest.
Thanks so much, Pearson. Well, Jaguars have taken a 1-0 lead in the best-of-3 final series in the Battle of the Cats out-of-season basketball competition. Playing in Game 1 at the BCC gym, Jaguars handed Cougars their first defeat of the tournament, 71-70. Meanwhile, Pumas, they beat the Lions in Game 1 of the third-place series, 85-73.
You already know the color scheme. Lions in orange playing Pumas. This is the series for the third place teams. Said Norville challenged to shoot, corner pocket, hand down, man down. A slow start for the Lions. Nicholas King in rhythm, steps into the triple with confidence. That's money. But the first half belonged to the Pumas. Movement off the ball, paying dividends. Stefan Otley right side, the best side. Sugar, 20 points to go along with his 9 rebounds. Pumas closing out the first half, up 41-33. Otley made 6 of 13 from long range. Third quarter going the other way. Lions trying to cut into that 8-point cushion. Mid-range jumper from Jamario Grisette. Golden had a double-double, 12 points, 13 boards. But at the core of their engine room was this guy, Rashid Maynard, the skipper, with the fade, game-high 29 points. Indeed, the captains, led by example, Darren Hurley finds his spot and launches a dagger from deep. Team-high 27 points, Pumas lead 59-51. The Lions came within 5 points down the home stretch. King misses the tray, and Macaulay Downey follows with the second bite at the cherry. Oh, how sweet it is. That's 3. But the Pumas will not be denied. Bullet pass to Jarrad Aline, who added 15 points. The boys in blue taking the game 85-73. Let's go to the second matchup, a big one. Jaguars in blue playing Cougars. Bounce pass under the cup for the 6-footer Joe Hunt. No problem at all. That's 2 points. Akeem Williams also understood the assignment. Get me the rock and let me cook. Eye candy had 11 points. The Jaguars, though, outscoring their opponents in the first half. Dario Comabats this time top of the key. You betcha. Add 2 more. The Cougars struggling on offense, and the Jags flying high, leading 44-23 at the break. Darren Hunt baseline, no problems. Switch of ends for the second half. Revival for the Cougars. Williams, bucket and the fall. 3-point play. And better defense led to production on the offensive end. Kassarian Adams lights out from upstairs. 21 points, 3 of them there. Adams putting the team on his back. Turns the corner, nifty layup, game on. Fast break late in the piece with Cougars just down by 2. Chef Adams, another lethal shot. Which way will this one go in the final minutes? Every point precious. Williams opts for the drive, up and in. Then the feed to Adriel Brathwaite and the flush. Edge of your seat action. Cougars down by 1, 70-71 with the inbound pass and seconds on the clock. Good luck for Brathwaite, side of the backboard. Oh my. Jaguars edge the Cougars 71-70. What a game to start the series.
Well, I can tell you both series continue on Sunday at the BCC gym. And finally, sportsmen sometimes put it all on the line for their teams. And this week's Player of the Week did just that for his side to advance to the semi-finals of the Prime Minister's Cup.
Which footballer will have the spotlight tonight? Let's play ball with your Flow Player of the Week from the Prime Minister's Cup. Stay connected at home and on the go with Flow. Our Player of the Week is usually found in the goal bars for his Allerton side, and as custodian, it's very hard to get a goal past him. But what made him stand out even more in the recent quarterfinals was that within just 2 minutes of play, he had seriously injured his shoulder, and you would think that was it for him on the field. But oh no, knowing how key the game was, he played to the end, in pain and all. The warrior I speak about is Jamar Brewster.
Suffering the injury, you know, I looked across at the bench and I told myself I can't put that pressure on nobody because our second string goalkeeper, he wasn't there at the time, unfortunately. So I said to myself I couldn't put that pressure on nobody at all because there's no recognized goalkeeper on the bench, so I had to bring it through. Time is of the essence, you know. Hopefully within 2 weeks I could go back and see the doctor and hopefully it'll be a miracle. But if I can't do it, you know, I just wish them the best and hopefully our second string goalkeeper could come and do what he does as he's a national, so you know, like, this shouldn't faze him.
It was also in that game that Brewster helped in booting one of the top teams out of the competition, Weymouth Wales, so his heroics got extra merit.
It's been a rivalry for like 5 to 6 years now. They've gotten over us on numerous occasions in finals, and trust me, that hurt a lot. So to get over them, to knock them out in the quarterfinals, it felt really good. It was a really good feeling knowing that we actually stopped arguably the best side in Barbados from winning $100,000. You know, so like we happy, but we not. The job is not finished as yet. We still got 2 more games. We still got to respect what's in front of us, and you know we got to play UE in the semi-finals. So UE is not an easy team either. So we got to take it one step at a time, and it's basically we're on the road to Kensington. So hopefully we could get here and we could go all the way.
It's not often that the man in the bars gets the recognition. So for Brewster, being our Player of the Week is something special.
It feels really good, you know. You just go out there, you just put your abilities to good use, and you know, unfortunately, as we spoke just now about the injury happened. These things can happen in sports. So, you know, yeah. I've been in this sport a very, very long time. Let's say like 17 years. I've been playing the highest level of football in Barbados from the time I was 15 years old. So I was actually going to school when I was playing the highest level of football in Barbados. So my career, honestly, it has had some ups and downs, and you know, it's been with one team, and if I could do it again, I would do it all over again.
So while Jamar Brewster will be watching from the bench due to injury, he can rest assured he has done his job in getting his Allerton side to the brink of PM Cup glory. And that was your Flow Player of the Week, that one footballer who took the spotlight from the action in the Prime Minister's Cup. Stay connected at home and on the go with Flow.
And that's the perfect way to end Friday Night Sports. That's it for me, Pearson. It's back over to you.
It also begs the question of you, Damien. Would you have played through the pain?
Oh, definitely, Pearson. You know I'm built for it. It's the way it is.
Have a good evening, Damien. Thank you. We'll take a break here. We're coming back in just a moment. Well, that's our time tonight. Thank you for spending it with us. I'm Pearson Bowen. For the crew, to all of you, good night. Have a wonderful weekend.